The US hypocrisy of the overcapacity allegation on China.
US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said her country will not accept Chinese imports that would decimate certain industries, such as electric vehicles and batteries. Yellen's just finished meetings in Beijing.
Overly dependent on any single country for a very important good that's used in your economy can lead to a dangerous fragility in supply chains. And in the case of some of these clean energy goods, electric batteries, the minerals that go into them, solar panels, we have been very, very heavily dependent on China.
And back in 2017, she infamously claimed that she expected no new financial crisis in our lifetimes. She claimed that the US government had solved all of the problems that were unleashed in the 2008 financial crash that nearly destroyed the economy, that new regulations had made sure that there would be no future financial crises, according to Janet Yellen. And then just a few years later, 2023 was the worst ever year for bank failures in the United States. 3 of the 4 largest bank failures in US history happened in this year, just a few years after Janet Yellen claimed that there would be no more financial crises in our lifetimes. And this is not even to mention the fact that there is currently a major crisis going on this year, 2024, in the commercial real estate sector in the United States. And many mainstream financial analysts and media outlets have warned this could unleash yet another major financial meltdown. So the point is that it's crazy for US officials who have such a bad track record to try to lecture other countries about how they should govern their economy, how they should develop their technological sector. And it's even more cynical when you realize what Washington's ulterior motives are with this claim of Chinese overcapacity. We saw this very clearly back in 2021, in which Janet Yellen's colleague in the Biden administration, the US Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo, she let the cat out of the bag and she admitted what Washington's real goal is. Gina Raimondo said that the US wants to, quote, slow down China's rate of innovation. I really need to emphasize this point. The US said very clearly that it is working with Europe, its Western allies, in order to prevent China from technologically developing. And of course, the real goal at the end of the day is the US does not want any competition to its big tech monopolies in Silicon Valley. By the way, all of those big tech monopolies in Silicon Valley, pretty much all of them, the vast majority, have received billions of dollars of support from the US government. Tesla, Google, Meta, they have long enjoyed direct support from the US government, which again is what the US is accusing China of. And by the way, this was not the only time that Gina Raimondo made these very aggressive comments about China. This March, the US Commerce Secretary admitted in a press conference that Washington will, quote, do whatever it takes in order to prevent China from getting access to the most advanced technologies. Do whatever it takes. That includes a lot of things. That includes economic war, sabotage, sanctions, export restrictions, and who knows what the US is doing covertly. But the point is that the stated US policy toward China is technological war and economic war. Washington's goal is to prevent China from technologically developing in advanced sectors and competing with US big tech monopolies. And the narrative about Chinese overcapacity that we hear from Janet Yellen and others is simply part of this larger strategy of economic war and tech war aimed at China. And it's quite cynical. Because at the end of the day, this whole narrative from US government officials using the media, all of this is aimed at justifying aggression against China in the form of sanctions, export restrictions, banning companies and exports in the West, and tariffs. And we've seen this very clearly because the billionaire oligarch Elon Musk, who has received many billions of dollars of support from the US government, he said very clearly back in January that Tesla needs restrictions on Chinese EV exports. And Elon Musk complained that if the US government does not put tariffs on Chinese EVs, then they will demolish Tesla and other competitors. So this is all about protecting these US monopolies like Tesla, which, by the way, Tesla has received billions of dollars of support from the US government in subsidies and tax breaks and other forms of industrial policy. And Washington has not been hiding this strategy very well, because just a few weeks after Elon Musk called for the US government to put tariffs on Chinese EVs, the Biden White House published a fact sheet in which they claimed, quote, Chinese automakers are seeking to flood the autos market in the United States and globally, posing new threats to our national security. And they claimed that there is a national security risk posed by connected vehicles from countries of concern, including the People's Republic of China. So Biden is claiming that cheap Chinese EVs that compete much more effectively than expensive Tesla EVs, they are a national security threat, and the White House called for an investigation into these EVs, and very likely the US will impose tariffs on Chinese EVs to help make them less competitive, protecting US monopolies like Tesla. In fact, last year, BYD, the Chinese automaker, overtook Tesla as the #1 seller of electric vehicles on Earth. And Tesla-focused websites are very concerned, like the website Teslarati, which has an entire section of the website dedicated to Elon Musk. They publish an article warning that China's BYD has an electric vehicle that sells for around $10,000 US, and they noted that this is scaring the US auto industry. So oligarchs like Elon Musk, they simply cannot compete with China, which is why they're begging the US government to put trade barriers to protect them. And Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, is claiming that this is because of Chinese overcapacity. Those are their cynical talking points. But we have to ask, why was the US never concerned about so-called Chinese overcapacity when China was dominating global production of low-value added, low-tech industries like toasters and refrigerators and furniture and clothing? Because the US didn't care then, because the US simply does not want China to be competing in high-tech sectors.
Hey, hello friends, we come to the end here. Have you subscribed yet? Yes, press the subscribe button and the like button and the share button. Thank you and have a nice day.